Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. This is the fourth meeting of the Poznań Salesforce Marketer Group this year, and today we will do a deep dive on Activation Studio and Direct Messenger for Marketing Cloud. My name is Zuzana. I am a Salesforce Marketing Cloud Architect at Deloitte Digital. I am also a Salesforce MVP and the leader of the Poznań Salesforce Marketer Group. And my guest today is Sander Hoff, the managing partner at Harvest Digital. Sander, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, definitely. My name is Sander Hoff, managing partner and co-founder of Harvest Digital. It's not the focus of this presentation. We're going to talk about Activation Studio, which is part of Harvest Tech Labs, another brand. But happy to be here.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great, thank you. So before we start with the presentation, I would like to offer you a chance to win a Salesforce certification vouchers. We have multiple vouchers to give away, and all you need to do to take part is follow this link and sign up using the form. There will be a lottery at the end, so make sure to stay until the end of the event to find out how to claim your voucher if you're one of the lucky winners. I will post this link in the chat later, so either you can grab a photo now or wait for the link to appear later in the chat. A bit of housekeeping. This session will be recorded. The recording, as usual, will be posted to the events page on the Trailblazer community group's website. At the end of the session, there will be a chance to ask Sander questions about the demo, so please post your questions in the chat or ask them directly during the Q&A. Also, remember to sign up for the upcoming meetings organized by the Poznań Salesforce Marketer Group. For those of you who are based in Poland, we are planning an in-person event in September, and we are also planning a few more online events later this year, so stay tuned. Now, I think we can jump into the main topic of today's meeting, Activation Studio and Direct Messenger for Marketing Cloud. So off to you, Sander.
Yeah, thanks. So I can take over your screen now, right?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to start off with a quick introduction. I will take away this screen. All right. So how I would like to start, well, I just introduce myself, Sander Hoff. We started with Harvest Digital as a Salesforce consultant company, and that's nothing new. But after doing quite few implementations and onboarding, and also experiencing Marketing Cloud, also other clouds of Salesforce, we noticed that, well, Marketing Cloud is a very powerful and extensive tool, but it can be a bit complex and to find your way around it. So we wanted to develop an application or applications that are really focused on the work of a marketer and make their life a little bit easier. Less complexity and more focus on what their actually job is, and that is making amazing experiences and journeys. So I want to talk a little bit about Activation Studio and the Direct Messenger, and they're both applications. Activation Studio is currently available on the App Exchange, and Direct Messenger is currently in the review process, but we're actively testing those applications already. One of the reasons, and what is Activation Studio, is the one I'm going to start off with. We wanted to develop an application that is a lightweight CDP. That lives within your Marketing Cloud business unit. Also because Salesforce introducing the Salesforce CDP and already has the Interaction Studio, both really powerful technologies, but also come with quite a big price tag. And not all companies have that budget or have the teams ready and the experience and the knowledge ready to actually work with those technologies. And that can be a bit of a shame. So we wanted to introduce an application that is a step between doing nothing and going full into Interaction Studio or Salesforce CDP. And the core of the Activation Studio consists out of three designers, which are the segment designer, which is a visual drag and drop designer, and Score Designer, which is a lead scoring designer. Those two applications are designers already available. And the third one is going to be released this summer, which is the Interaction Designer, which offers a flexible web tracking functionality. So you can include behavioral triggers more flexible than what the Marketing Cloud offers now to do your scoring or to do your segment designing. Something that I do want to mention, that is one of the reasons why I wanted to create Activation Studio, is in making Marketing Cloud a little bit more user-friendly. So no focus on SQL activities or having to learn about data relationship. Also very important tasks that should be covered within the team, but there's also people within the team that don't necessarily need those skill sets and should focus on running campaigns and making journeys. And also, like I mentioned before, offering a step up into those ways of work with compared to Salesforce CDP or Interaction Studio. So what is it? Oh, I mentioned before, and I'm going to dive into it and just show you what it looks like and how it works in a second, because that's more interesting. But just to recap really quickly, Segment Designer, easy and quick way to segment data, visual drag and drop interface, built right on top of Marketing Cloud functionality. We didn't want to create something that does a lot of complex things outside of Marketing Cloud. We wanted to create something that utilizes the power of Marketing Cloud and is just built on top of it with a better workflow for a marketer. Also pulling in some benchmark data, journey metrics to provide some insights for marketers within the same interface. And also build on top of the data design. That's what I'm going to show you in a minute, because that's a really important factor in how the Activation Studio works. Score Designer is released 2 weeks ago. Compared to Pardot, it offers a way of creating scoring rules, and in a later stage also creating scoring tags, which also become available within the Segment Designer when creating segments. And the last one is the Interaction Designer, which will be coming soon. A really easy way to define interactions and then export them and import them within a Google Tag Manager container. And we provide the identity stitching and also the handling of the different interactions. And the last one, and that's one we haven't demoed really publicly yet, but it's something that we're really proud of, which is the Direct Messenger, which is a custom activity that lives within the Journey Builder, which makes it possible. We know you can already do text messages, you can do WhatsApp messages, but we made an application where all these different direct messaging channels are combined. So making it possible to do Facebook Messenger, Instagram, Line, Fiverr, WhatsApp, and text messaging. And we're growing the different direct messaging channels and also making it easy to use rich media. So for example, using attachments or images, videos, and personalization within your direct messenger channels. But I'm going to show you the whole workflow now. So it's going to go into Marketing Cloud if I can reach my bar. So like I mentioned, and I'm presuming that most of you know what Marketing Cloud looks like, and you're familiar with the Data Designer. Activation Studio is built around the Data Designer because we wanted to have something that is already managing different attribute groups, relationships, and nested data, and also having something what a marketer is already familiar with. So when a marketer is already working within Journey Builder, they know that they can use these attribute groups to use them within filters or use them within a decision split or in an exit criteria. So they're familiar already with these attribute groups, and it makes it really easy for them also to add or extend their data model with different types of data views or demographic data, which are really very valuable when using them within segments. So without further ado, just going to dive into the Activation Studio, which is part of Marketing Cloud. It's installed here already. And the first screen you'll see is a home screen, something that will be a modular home screen where you can have your most important metrics. And at the left-hand side, have your Segment Designer and Score Designer. Interaction Designer will be put in here. Excuse me if I'm coughing a little bit because I got COVID 2 days ago, so I'm a bit struggling here. but I didn't want to cancel this meeting. Just diving into the segment designer, you see an overview of the different segments we created already, and you see a couple of things. So when a segment is already created, we'll show you what the unique count is, because everything we do within the segment designer is built around the subscribers and the contacts. So we always know what the unique list is. We also pull in the total emails sent to that specific segment over the last 6 months. So a direct integration with data views. And when opening up the segment, you can see the benchmark data that will refresh daily, which is Siri is trying to talk to me. The segment statistics, so giving the marketer a little bit of insights of what's happening, of used to happen within this segment in the last 6 months. So have an average bounce rate, average open rate, average click rate. And the cool thing is when creating a segment and finalizing the segment, and you can see this based on the icon here, this segment is already connected to a journey. And I'm going to show you how that works in a little bit. But when creating the journey from within the activation studio, where we link the segment to the journey, and we can pull in any metrics that happen within the journey based on the emails, even if there's multiple versions and multiple email sends there, we can pull in the journey statistics and compare them to the benchmarks, giving the marketer a little bit more feedback in how the journey is if it's working correctly. And in the next release, we also want to introduce the goal completions. And when Interaction Designer is launched, we also have the option to define custom goals and have them within your overview here. But just to create a new segment, you can see the left-hand side that we pull in all the different attribute groups. There's going to be a roll and write system where you can exclude some of these attribute groups if they're not necessarily needed here. We have, if the synchronized data extension, so from the Marketing Cloud connector, is available, you can also use this. So clicking through your opportunity data or your campaign member status, any data that's configured within your data source, of course. Let's go into the opportunity. Easy way to just search for the different fields and drag them in. Something that we wanted to add in, and that is something if you are familiar with creating SQL or SQL activities and not knowing what the potential values are within a certain data extension, we made a really nice option just to pull in the unique values that are available within that data extension, so you can really quickly define different segments or different criteria here that you want to include within your segment, and combine it with any other object or attribute group that's available here. So what if you would have your transactions in here, and because we know that there's a one-to-many relationship, and because we know what the data type is, let's say I want to use the total, we can do a couple of things. We can evaluate each different record, or we can use the sum or the average to calculate the sum over all the different transactional records we can see. And let's say I want everybody who had an average or a total transaction value between 200 and 1,000, for example. And you can always see here, I want to combine these, and there's no limit in combining these criteria. You can make it really complex. Best practice is, though, if you're joining 7 different attribute groups, it might be a good idea to prepare a data view and make it a little bit more easy for the marketer to actually get that data. But it is possible. We are depending on how Marketing Cloud works, of course, and the timeout of 30 minutes on the SQL activity, but it's an optimized SQL that we've created. And something that we wanted to add in is a direct integration with data view. So it's not necessarily needed anymore to prepare these data views, what in a lot of cases happens where the partner creates those data views and just populates them every day. We made a direct integration. So if we would want to have everybody in this segment, but they shouldn't have opened an email or in the last period, or in this last 6 months, you can put this in, or maybe even the click date, and combine these two with each other. So when the segment is designed and you're happy with it, you can confirm it. And then we go into the next step. Give it a name, give it a description, choose your data actions. You can keep it like it is, but you can choose similar to a SQL activity if you want to update or override action, if you want a data retention policy. And the next step is picking your fields. So we remembered, and that's the grayed out fields, which criteria I used and which fields they were. So if I want the stage name in here, I can click it. If I want the total field to be in my target data extension, I can pick it here. I can change it to the average or account. Maybe I want the count of the total amount of transactions. And maybe this is the event date based on the clicks. I also want the count of this. And I can add any fields that's available within the data designer here if you want it in your target data extension. So if I want the email address, I want the status in here, and maybe I also have a master client data extension with the name and the mobile number. And if it's ready, I can save it as a draft or I can save and run it. And now what we do is we create the SQL activity, we create the data extension, the fields, we run the query, we populate the fields, and when it's ready, you can see it's processing now. I can check if it's ready. So processing. Our test data set is not that big, so I don't expect a lot of people to be in this segment. I'm just gonna use these segments for continuing my demo, and that is the score designer. So like I mentioned, we wanted to offer something because Pardot is a very powerful scoring mechanism, but it's a technology that has limits. If you want to grow further, you're kind of set in a box. We wanted to offer something within Marketing Cloud so you can set up scoring rules also. You have the option to create a once per occurrence scoring rule or a repetitive scoring rule. So for example, the fact that there's an open opportunity, if it's a decision maker or something like that, you can use once per occurrence, or you can use the every occurrence. So let's say I would want to add a score every time someone opens an email. And you can see it's a similar interface to the segment designer. We just want to keep it really familiar and just, let's say, is not null in a certain time frame, add 2 points, confirm it. And save it. And what we do now, we calculate the unique score per subscriber and make it available within the segment designer. You can already see here how many unique subscribers already triggered this scoring rule, how many points are subtracted or added to the score, and if it's a repetitive score or a one-time score. These data sets are also introduced in the overview, so you can use the score to set up or create your segment, for example. So just going back into the segment, because I wanted to step into also the direct messenger application. So let's say I would want to start a new journey. I already have a journey connected to this, but let's say I want to start a new journey with this one. I can say create new journey, opening up a new screen with the journey and the target data extension already connected to this. Let's say if it goes in, yeah, it's fast enough. And I can start designing my journey. So showing you direct messenger, because you can add your emails, you can add your decision splits in here and create everything. Just want to show you what direct messenger can do. So add in my direct messenger custom activity. Click to open, and direct messenger has a couple of functionalities. You can already see here the different channels that are already available and the channels that will be added in the near future for direct messaging campaigns here. But you have the options to add tags if you want to organize everything within the direct messenger and also use the templates. So something that WhatsApp candidate needs and also is how you say it, obligatory, because any message sent via WhatsApp needs to be approved beforehand. But we use the same templates also for text and Instagram and Facebook Messenger, just to have a similar workflow in here, and you can manage it from within this application. So choose your provider. We have different providers already connected, and this is something that we can set up during the setup. Let's say I want a new template, and this is an account update. Choose the sender and the type, and this could be a text or with buttons. Let's say this is a text with buttons. This is an account update. Create the template. Choose the template, and then I can define the different languages. Language can be set up also in the config section of the application. If you have Polish or English or Dutch or any other language, and just type your language. I'm going to type it in Dutch here. And you can insert any variable that you can map to your data extension when setting up your thing. Let's say this is name. Put a name in here. Have the button text. Just add something. I don't have an endpoint just yet. Save this language. Set up the English one. Put in the same variable. Save language. So now I've set it up, and I can request validation, and that will be sent to WhatsApp to check. Oh, well, I got an error message. But luckily, I already set up a couple of templates already, which we can check, which is the aftercare, which is a message. So you get a preview of what your message is going to look like with your personalization strings in here. Also have an example of delivery update with button in here. So when setting up this campaign, I can just say, okay, I want to use this one. Aftercare, use the phone number, choose the language, preview it, and we need to map the name to this one. You can use text, so afterwards you can, from a reporting perspective, and make it a bit easier just to group certain campaigns. And now we're ready. We can click done, and it's configured, and we can activate the campaign and use the different WhatsApp, and maybe even use email after this. We have our own decision split also connected to this. So if the WhatsApp message was clicked or opened or maybe not delivered, you can do something with that information. And the reason why we wanted to create something ourselves is because we also wanted to have an option to include a bot. So we have the option to connect Dialogflow to this and have the conversation be picked up by a chatbot. And when the chatbot can't handle it anymore, or is at the end of his script, it can be sent to Service Messenger, which is the same application, but it lives within Service Cloud, where the support people can pick up the message and uses the same number, which is a big difference with how Marketing Cloud WhatsApp works with digital application of Salesforce itself. So I got at the end of my my demo. So I'm not sure how with time, but I would love to answer some questions if there are any.
Mhm. So I don't see any questions in the chat just yet, but maybe someone who's on the call has any questions. If that's the case, then feel free to speak up. If not, then I do have a couple of questions myself. So first of all, I would like to ask you about the security, because this is something that when we work with clients, that they also really care about security. So how does it actually work? Does any end data of clients get sent to your servers, or does everything stay within Marketing Cloud?
We don't store any data, so all data is kept, and it stays within the Marketing Cloud. All that we do is we build something on top of the Marketing Cloud API. So creating a different workflow, but making use of the query activities of the data extension and the storage. So we don't send any data back and forth. We just create everything within the Marketing Cloud. So if you would go into your email studio, you can already see those data extensions, for example, if you would want to use them or check. So to answer your question, we don't store any personal data, and we're not going to. And also from we call it GDPR in Holland, but from a privacy perspective, the server is hosted for European clients in Hamburg and for American clients in the US.
Perfect, thank you. And now another question. So when you were showing the segment designer, I was wondering if it does actually in the background, if it does create any automations or queries, or does it just run in the real time and does not leave a trace in the system?
It creates a query activity, and we ping the query activity when it's created, and we can also pull the status of the query activity. So we don't use the Marketing Cloud API to create the segments, but like I mentioned, we wanted to utilize what Marketing Cloud does well, and just build a different workflow around that.
Okay, perfect. And now I can see that we also have a couple of questions in the chat. So Signal Aman is asking, would the segments get refreshed automatically on a daily basis?
That's a good question. If you want that, yes, because you can do a couple of things, actually 3 things, or you can refresh it manually, but well, why would you? You can use the automation studio because the data extension is there, and if you want to add it into an automation or the query activity into an automation, you can. But we also build our own automation. So if you just want to quick refresh on an hourly basis of your segment, you can just add it in here, and we'll handle the automation. We just run the query activity every hour. You can also see it in the status. So when it's active, it has an automation connected to it. And if it's completed, it doesn't.
Perfect, thank you. And there's one more question about the recording, so maybe I'll take this one. So the recording will be posted on the Trailblazer community website. So that's exactly the same website that you have used for signing up for this meeting. So this is where I will put the recording in a couple of days. So do we have any more questions about the demo?
Like something I would wanted to add also, and that's more on a technical level. If there would be any questions about that, is it works with any child business unit. So it's installed on the parent, and it's available for any child business unit, and it works with the data designer that is available within those child business units. And we also have the option to use the business unit filter if you want to isolate the subscribers within those different child business units, just making sure that we're not using the enterprise level subscribers.
Great. And one more question that I'm thinking about. Do you have like a demo version available if someone just wanted to try it out before purchasing the solution? Would there be a possibility to try this for free?
It's something that can be discussed. We have a couple of clients that are on trials right now. So just reach out if you're interested. We do have an interactive product demo available where you can just walk through the whole application and just try everything out without actually being in the Marketing Cloud environment, because it's quite difficult to manage all free trials. Just to give you a bit of insights, it's if you would compare it to a Salesforce App Exchange application for core, with Marketing Cloud, it's a little bit different in how that is managed and how that is installed. So we still need to do a bit of a manual installment. So if we would do a lot of free trials, that would take a lot of time, but still, it doesn't hurt to ask. So we're open to giving out free trials if there's a really good opportunity also for us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we've got two more questions in the chat. The first one, how are we choosing the subscriber-send relationship if we are directly joining the data extension with the journey?
We always start with the subscriber data view. So that is the relationship that we choose.
Mm-hmm. So it basically takes the segment is created automatically, and then based on the segment, on what you're using as the subscriber key in the segment, that will be used for the send relationship. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that because the data designer is linked to the contact based on the same identifier, so we use that identifier as the send relationship.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now the next question, how to reach out. I'm interested in having a trial. So maybe Sander, you can post maybe your email address or your website in the chat so that everyone can access it later. Now the next question, would this product in any mail at would this product alter the contact counts for billing purposes?
No, because we don't add anything into the contact data engine. We just use the subscribers that are available, so we don't like blow up the contact amount. And like we're not like the party that will manage the data designer. I think the partner that is involved will usually build out and manage what is happening within the data designer. All we do is make use of what is there.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and one more question: what is the refresh rate to get data from CDP?
Oh, you mean the interaction designer part?
I'm not sure what the person meant, but I think you've mentioned that your application is like a simpler version of the CDP. So maybe, I don't know, Bharat Kumar, are you on the call with us? Could you maybe specify what you meant?
Yeah, sorry, I just got late, joined this meeting. So as per the documentation, it seems that it can integrate with CDP. So just wanted to know about what will be the data get refreshed in this application if we are getting the data from the CDP itself.
No, it's not integrated with Salesforce CDP yet. We are looking into that, but we're I think the miscommunication is about that we're positioning it as a lightweight CDP. So what we want to do is have the basic functionality that a Salesforce CDP or a CDP in a more global way does. So identity stitching, like data enrichment, and having a certain amount of data streams available. That is something that we want to cover. We are actually looking into integrating with Salesforce CDP, but we're focusing on the interaction designer first, to getting the web events and the behavioral tracking up and running first before we looking into integrating with Salesforce CDP.
Right.
And then again, I think if a company already has Salesforce CDP, there's very little benefit in Activation Studio because, like I mentioned, it's kind of a step up. If companies want to start doing something in some like in that particular fashion, Activation Studio is a really good first step. But if they want to grow, then Salesforce CDP is a better and a like more powerful solution with a price tag. And like the price that we ask for Activation Studios, I think 1% of what Salesforce CDP asks, and it also comes forward in the functionality that we can actually build for that price.
Thank you. And one more question. Can we set up a direct data integration with Activation Studio, or do we need to have the data residing in Salesforce Marketing Cloud?
Well, the way we are building it now, that it is because we don't want to store anything within our own database. So everything is going directly via throttling into Marketing Cloud. So if you want to create your own integration, that will be similar to how you would create integration with Marketing Cloud, because all the data will be available within a couple of different data extensions.
Mm-hmm. So basically,
and after that, you can do anything with the data that you want. You can actually do a data extract, put on the SFTP, and maybe transfer to another system.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Thank you. I don't see any more questions.
Let me just put in my email address.
Mm-hmm. Yes, let's do that.
Hi, I have a quick question. How is this tool different to the tool that we already have from Deselect, which is a drag and drag solution for the segmentation purpose, which is another App Exchange product? It sounds like this tool is going to do the same thing. So is there any differentiation between the Deselect product and the Activation Studio when it comes to the segmentation purpose?
Yeah, good question. Actually, that's the question I get every single time that I demo this. Like the biggest difference between Activation Studio and Deselect is, like on the first glance, Deselect does segmentation. We also do lead scoring and interactions. That's something that the Deselect doesn't do. And the second thing is, because I think Deselect is a really powerful tool, we wanted to focus on the marketeer that doesn't have the technical knowledge. And when using Deselect, you still need to think about relationships, how you're going to link your data, if it needs an inner join or a left join or a right join. And we didn't want to do that within this application. We wanted to make it like more simple, making use of what is already available within the data designer, and having a marketeer just focusing on how can I find my sweet spot within my data and creating campaigns for this and really quickly doing so. And I think the Deselect goes a little bit more deeper if you want to create more complex combinations of data. So if you would have it on a scale between SQL and a really simple data filter, then Deselect would be somewhere more towards SQL, and we are more towards the data filter.
All right, thank you. That helps. A quick follow-up question on that. Would this tool also support all types of relationships when we are trying to segment based on multiple data extensions or multiple synchronized data extensions to get one-to-many relationship attributes into one table or one data extension, if you call?
Yeah.
What is the support level this tool is offering when it comes to the one-to-many or many-to-many relationships?
Like I've shown in the demo, we know when there's a one-to-one or a one-to-many relationship available. So, for example, I have my transactional data here, and this is a one-to-many relationship with the contact. So if I would just really make a really simple query, if I would want to add specific values into this data extension, just very quickly. let's say I want the order ID, then we already recognize that there's a one-to-many relationship. So you need to do or account of the amount of records that we see, because you bring it back to a duplicated view of the subscribers. So if there's more, or you can choose based on like a date field or another field that you want the oldest or the newest value to be in the data extension.
Got it.
Does this answer your question?
Yes, it does partially, but I would like to explore more. Maybe I'll reach out to you offline.
Yeah, no, like I mentioned, because there's a lot to pack here, and also like a bit difficult to explain something and have it land directly. And we have a lot of ambition with this application and extending the functionality, especially with the interaction designer and having the synergy between the three designers in making it possible to use your CRM, marketing cloud data, and web behavioral data within the same place, which makes it really powerful. And the way the roadmap looks now, that we are going to release the interaction designer this summer. So that's really, really cool. And maybe for if you want to have more information, we have interactive product demo available on our website. And I can also share it with Susanna, so she can share the non-gated version with you guys if you want to check it, which just helps you walk through the whole application with a lot of contextual information within the demo.
Sure, absolutely. One more follow-up question. If you would like to, do it as a trial for a month, is that something you guys offer?
Yeah, we do.
A paid version for a month or something?
We do. If we notice that this is a serious interest in the application, and we know that sometimes you just want to trial run it and see if it works with the way the team works, or if you have questions about the quality of the segments, we do have the option to do a free trial period. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you.
So we do have one more question in the chat. Can we manage the user access right in the Activation Studio? For example, set limitations for different roles. And also, can we export the data directly from here to our local system?
So to answer the first question, in the next release, there will be a roles and rights system. It won't be too deep yet, because we really want to look into what people expect. But two things that we want to add within the roles and rights is one, restrict what the normal user can do within the data designer. So if there's any attribute groups that the admin doesn't want to have in the segment designer, he can restrict them and not be shown. And the second part is have the option that marketeers can't publish a segment, but they can create the segment and save them as a draft, and a notification goes to someone who they, like in the preview field, that can actually run the segment. So having a bit of restrictions in the Activation Studio. The second part of the question, because the data is in a data extension, you can do anything with the data that you want to. So if you would want to drop it onto the SFTP, it is possible. You can do anything with it that you want. We are looking into a way, and that's actually another application that we have, where you can export the data into a CSV really easily. It's not in yet, because we haven't had that use case asked a lot. But it is something that would be in the line of possibilities, but it's not in here yet.
Perfect, thank you. So do we have any more questions? Please speak up now, or else.
Sounds like a marriage.
Yeah, I don't think there are any more questions. So thank you very much, Sander, for the demo. One more question about the recording. Yes, as I said earlier, the recording will be posted to the Trailblazer community website. It's the same website that you have used for signing up for this meeting, so you will find it there in a couple of days. So now, Sander, unless you want to show us anything else at this point, or are you, or is it all for the demo?
No, this was it. I only have like an ending slide. So it's thanks for the interest and the time, and giving me the opportunity to show what we've built in the last year. We're really proud of what we accomplished and what we created. Most of you probably know that the Marketing Cloud API is not the best documented API in the world. So we got really far in also including stuff that's not even documented. But yeah, happy where we are now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So if you could share with me later the link to the non-gated demo, I will also include that in the summary page. And now maybe I will take over the screen one more time to share the winners of the lottery. So here are the names of the lucky winners. Congratulations to you, Suyok, Francisco, Daryl, Doina, Saimantak, and Gonzalo. I hope I pronounced everyone's names correctly. I will pass your details directly to Salesforce, and they will contact you within a few days and send you your vouchers. And that's it for today. Thank you for joining us, and I hope to see you next time. And once again, a big thank you to you, Sander, for presenting the solution to us today.
No, thanks again also, Susanna, and enjoy your evening.
Yes, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.